first and foremost, Cheria, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Armin, for having me.
Yeah, of course, of course. I was looking through some of your pictures that you sent me about like what what you look like in the past to what you look like now.
Mhm.
Um, and I know you said that there was, it's a long story, but can you tell me like how you got into training and nutrition and fitness?
Well, yeah, I've always had an interest in physical health,
Mm.
um, and always tried to stay fit throughout my 20s and 30s. And
Hmm.
I'm in my late 30s now, nearly 30. I just turned 38, so.
Okay. Okay. We're almost the same age. I'm 39, but so
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Um, and Yeah, before I got into bodybuilding, I tried a few different things. I
Mhm.
did, well, I started off as martial artist, actually.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I did taekwondo for a little bit. I grew up with, boys, my
Hmm.
brother, and so we all did that. And from taekwondo, I did aikido. I even went to Japan to train at the aikido headquarters in Shinjuku.
Wow.
And I started weightlifting back in 2000 and I would say 2016.
Hmm.
And there was this class called, I don't know if it's still, exists, but it's called Les Mills or something like that.
Mm. No,
And
I
then,
don't. Yeah, I don't think it does. So
oh,
yeah,
but have you heard of it?
I haven't. So what kind of class is this?
It's a weightlifting class, but it's
Okay.
kind of like they combine weightlifting and cardio. And
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah, and so that was back in 2016. And um, I also did, you know, believe it or not, what is it called? It's very popular. Uh,
Mm.
mm, that's
Can't remember it.
very explosive, like a lot
Oh,
of,
like are you talking about like CrossFit?
yes, that one.
CrossFit. Well, CrossFit is very popular. You're right about that.
Yeah,
That's
so I did that. I even like experimented with, a few different like diets. Like I was plant-based for a little bit, but
hmm
didn't really work out really well. I guess I
Why
didn't,
why did you not stay with plant-based?
I don't know, like I just I was having hard time to kind of like see visible results from doing
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
But I'm not gonna lie, like that diet was pretty good in terms of kind of just like I don't know, like keeping you away from being constipated, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Because
so like less bloat,
yeah,
less extent stomach extension, that kind of stuff.
yeah, funny that you mentioned that because it was good for a little bit, but then yeah, there were some things that just, like you feel kind of bloated.
Hmm.
Uh, like when you ingest a lot of fiber, more than you need, more than your body needs, like it's just kind of like sitting there. That's how I felt about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Fiber can do that. I use a fiber supplement, but I only use a small amount.
Yeah,
If I go any more, like it has almost the reverse effect. It like makes you more bloated, more full feeling, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
totally.
So no, like I felt like, like I didn't, grow up like eating this type of diet. So
Mm.
I'm I have Asian background, and our diets consisting of predominantly rice and a little bit of vegetables, but
Hmm.
fish is there. It's like a staple thing
Hmm.
for us,
Yeah.
and chicken and beef and so. Like
Yeah,
I,
so it's interesting. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's interesting. One thing that I've noticed about Asians, at least I perceive it that way.
Mhm,
They eat a lot of rice, which rice is
mhm.
generally high in calories, but you rarely see any overweight Asians. And what do you think that's like? Why is it? Because rice generally has a lot of calories in it. So, you think it's because they're also eating like fish and other like good protein with it, or is that just a genetic thing?
It could be a bit of everything, I would
Hmm.
say, but you got to remember though, like yes, rice is carbs, but it's a complex carbs, and in many Asian countries, at least where I grew up, like
Hmm.
I lived in Indonesia,
Hmm.
Singapore, I lived in Japan and Australia, and like people there, like we walk everywhere, you
Right,
know.
right.
Uh, while here, like when I move out to the US, it's like it's the driving culture here. It means like you get to places you need to be like by driving a car.
Sure.
Well, unless you live in bigger cities, then you have the privilege to enjoy that kind of facilities, but they're not always readily available in at least where I am. Like,
Right.
bus is pretty much non-existent here. So
Yeah. Unless you're living in places like New York or like other
yeah,
places like
exactly.
that, then people do more pedestrian walking and public transportation. But yeah, but like in Nashville, Tennessee, where I'm at, it's the same way. It's like you can't it's impossible to get anywhere in time if you don't have a car. So it's just the system is not set up like that, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
I definitely think the walking thing is real because um you know, in Europe where I'm from, it's we've always walked. And then when we came here, it
Mhm,
like we stopped and we just are using cars. So,
mhm,
and I definitely think that impacts people because I've noticed a lot of people from where I'm from, since they stopped walking,
mhm.
they tend to gain weight like everyone else, you know. And so I think that's true about the walking. I think that's very true. I think
And
so.
if you pay attention, like portions here is huge, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Yes. And also like little things like, like I notice little things like this, like people drive everywhere. They want to put their, vehicle as close as possible to the entrance, It's like little things like that.
Right, right, right. I guess it talks more about the mentality, like, oh, like, just less movement. It's always like for less movement. And that's, I think,
Sedentary, yes.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree with that. So, so what made you, so you went from like doing cardio based exercises, you're doing martial arts,
Hmm.
and then you get into like bodybuilding at what and
Yeah.
I see there's some pictures of you competing in bodybuilding. So I think it's the bikini division, right? This is what you
Hmm.
did. So like what made that transition from just doing a little weightlifting, a little cardio, based training and then into competitive bodybuilding?
Yeah. So it might sound a little silly, and I think about it a lot.
Hmm.
I might say it started off when I got my first fitness what do you call it? Like fitness. I'm certified personal trainer, so
Hmm.
my first job was working at this one of these fitness chain gyms,
Uh-huh.
coach them. You coach people there with your mates, like coach number two, whatever. Like, so
Hmm.
um, I was working there. It was my first personal training job. Um, and it was one of these late shifts that evening. We coach and we finished the class, and like we we were cleaning up, and I was carrying all these equipments, and just like cleaning up after your class,
Right,
basically.
right.
And then one of these coaches that I work with, so each class there will be assigning two coaches, coaches on the
Hmm.
floor. Like one is, setting up the what do you call it? The videos. So the all workouts already like program.
Hmm.
So attendees just like follow, whatever already set up for that day.
Right.
And then um I was cleaning up with her, and she was like making a making comment that I suspect was a bit like shaming my body a little bit because
Okay. Like in what,
yeah,
so what do you remember what she said?
well, pretty much like, oh, she goes like, oh, you were carrying these equipments, and something like you must be a little bit struggling, something like that,
So
because
something to the effect that you were small and weak. Is
yeah, she
yeah,
was
okay.
like, like, because you're, yeah, she literally said this verbatim, because you're tiny. And that evening, I didn't know what to think. I was just, like shrugging off, and like, but that evening I got home and I thought about it. I slept on it. The next day I thought about it again. The next day I thought about it. It was I was feeling increasingly offended.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. Like, did she just body shame my body? Is like, what is she trying to do? Like like what is she
Hmm.
trying to say? Like if I said something similar to her, let's say, which I didn't, never happened, but
Right.
it's like playing this, what if in my
Yeah.
mind. Like what if I said like, oh, you're looking really strong, like like because look at your body, you're so big, you have that, big frame. you know, what if I did that?
Hmm.
How would she feel about it? It's like I mean, uh, maybe look, maybe her intention was well,
Uh-huh.
maybe she thinks like, oh, like you're tiny, but you're so strong, but I was triggered. And and to me, it's like, what's wrong with these people? Because it seems to me that they associate these, like adjectives like skinny, tiny, as something positive, as something like, whoa, that's the ultimate body goals,
Yeah.
It's
That's what I was wondering if that might have been it, that she probably didn't think you would be offended. And of course I'm just speculating, but that you wouldn't be offended by being called tiny because you know, a lot of people are trying to be smaller, in society. So, but for you, it had a different effect.
yes,
You had a different view of it. So,
yes, absolutely. And I
mhm.
don't share that. Like to me, it's like, no, like being tiny doesn't mean being skinny doesn't mean, healthy.
Right, right.
So, but like the takeaway here is that I think, in my opinion, and you might, disagree with me, but I think there are times when you just have to, keep your opinion to yourself and don't say a word about someone's body,
Right,
right?
right. I think that would be smart. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that would be one way to not offend people. Yeah, that'd be
yeah,
good.
yeah. So
So,
that's,
so
yeah.
yeah, so you had that moment and like
Mhm.
you were talking about how that is moved you into bodybuilding, competitive bodybuilding.
Yes, yes. Pretty much, yeah. But I've always wanted to be more muscular
Hmm.
and stronger. And man, it's not until like I educated myself, like with nutrition,
Hmm.
I, I didn't know how to like, okay, I hit the gym, but I can't see the results here. Like there is no visible results. I'm still
Right.
small, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so. Yeah, I think up until I educated myself in that field, I started to see results, visible results, even though it's not so prominent because, well, I'm already in my late 30s and I'm a natural athlete.
Hmm.
And yeah, so
Yes.
we could be on like a smaller end, you know?
Right. You're so yeah. If well, I guess what's the best way to put this? There's a there's a level, there's lines, right, in fitness. And so
Mm,
you know, there's lines of age, which you're talking about. There's also lines of performance enhancing drugs
yeah.
that people often use. Um, so it's hard to, being a natural athlete, it's hard to compare yourself to someone who's not, because there's obviously going to be distinct differences. I was
Mm,
just talking to my client. I was with him right before I got on this podcast, and he was telling me how he sometimes compares himself to athletes that he sees on Instagram. He's
mm,
natural too. And so, and that's what I told him. I told them the same thing I'm saying here is you can't do that because you're like two different baskets in two different pools. You can't compare yourself to that. You'll never be in the same position as they are because they're obviously are indulging in performance enhancing drugs. So it is different. And
mm.
yeah, I understand where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And so you were saying you don't see results as well, and but you started seeing more results when you put nutrition, into it. How did you end up educating yourself with nutrition? Was it something that you just decided you were going to do one day, research? How did that come about?
Yes, shortly after I got certified with an ASM in personal training, I did the nutrition
Hmm.
coaching. Yeah, so
Okay.
and I was preparing myself to be like, okay, let's be honest, let's be
Hmm.
open-minded here. Like whatever I had learned in the past could be not so right,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
the willingness to like unlearn and learn, and that's very important to me, because without it, if you feel like, yeah, this is not wrong, like I've been doing everything's right and I cannot be wrong, like that's kind of mentality is not gonna get you anywhere,
Right.
as you always have to keep learning, keep like be open-minded and like, oh, there are things, that I know I don't have good solid knowledge on.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, like just from trying, from like a couple of different diets and see what works best for me and what, doesn't give my body too much of a, I don't know, inflammation, I guess.
Hmm.
That's the diet that I think, the best.
What kind of
And so
diet do you follow now?
just pretty much um diet that I was born with, like just, I believe that it should be mimicking the diet you were born with. Like rice works well with, like
Hmm.
rice
Hmm.
works well, fish, white fish, eggs, chicken,
Right.
um, red meats in moderation. And
Right.
yeah, the
No,
key is, I think, is just, whole foods and just limit processed foods and sugar.
yes.
What-
I was curious, have you tried extreme diets in this endeavor that you had? Did you try like cutting out all carbs or cutting out, I mean, I know you said you were plant-based, so you tried that. Was there
Mhm.
anything else that you tried where you were just cutting complete groups of food out
Oh,
or?
thank good I never did that,
Mhm.
at
Okay.
least not in a strict manner.
Got it.
I just, even when I was I was doing plant-based diet, I I didn't think I didn't believe that you should eliminate, one
Hmm.
group food because how would you do that? It's just not sustainable,
Right.
Um, yeah, so thankfully I never did that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people try those extreme diets, but at the end, they end up, I've done it. And at the end, you just end up going back to the way you were because, like you said, it's not sustainable. You can't do it forever. Often it becomes so difficult to
Maintain.
maintain that you just end up just being mentally worn out and you just go back
Yes.
to doing what you're doing. So,
Yes. To me, the key is, do what you enjoy the most and what works. Find that sweet spot. And those things make things more sustainable and more enjoyable. When you don't enjoy something, you see it as a chore, you
mhm.
don't, you see it as like, okay, I'm gonna hit this whatever weight goal, and then after that, we'll
Right.
see. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And
yeah, yeah. So what's the point? And that's my philosophy in fitness too. Is like, like yeah, to me sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm kind of tempted to like go, this far, and so I can get bigger and
Mhm.
look at this girl, but then I think to myself like, okay, those all the things you gain from the fame, the internet fame,
Mhm.
the trophies, everything, even like some money may be involved and some sponsorships from some, big name supplements, whatever, whatever. What you gonna do with all these things if
Right.
your health is falling apart? So it's really is just not worth it. I think.
Yeah. I was, that you brought that up. It's very interesting to me that you have some of these bodybuilders that are very famous, at least in our industry. And they make good money, or whatever the case may be. They're sponsored. People, comment on their Instagrams and all
Mhm.
that. And then all of a sudden, just like that, they're dead. Heart attack, something
Yeah.
else, and and what that points to me is that they weren't taking care of their health. And it seems like they were doing well,
Mm-hmm.
based on their pictures and all
Yeah.
that, but inside, it wasn't. So you
Yeah.
definitely don't want to
Yeah.
be in that situation. That's for sure.
No way. No, to
Yeah.
me, it's like it takes away the very thing, the very essence of fitness itself. Well, some people say, well, you cannot correlate, bodybuilding with fitness, like because they're
Mhm.
two different things. But
Mhm.
what if I told you, like, yes, it is possible,
Mhm.
because the idea of, putting on muscle as much as possible for you to live longer.
Yeah.
And so, why you un, why you do you if you do this, you do your body disservice, you know what I mean? It's like the whole idea of fitness is to to help you live the best you can, to
Mhm.
to make you feel good about yourself, to to feel good and look good. And so
Right.
if you look good only on the outside, then what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, it doesn't make sense.
True.
Yeah.
More of like a holistic approach, I think you have.
That is actually my personal approach. And
Mhm.
this is something permanent, I think, because I came from martial artists and yoga background. I forgot to mention that.
Mhm.
Yoga is something that stays with me. Um, it's more than just like physical thing. It's more body and mind, and the connection, the holistic aspect to it. So you cannot be just like, okay, yeah, look, you look good, you look fantastic, but you look, I'm sorry, shitty. Like, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
you feel
No, no,
shitty.
it's fine. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's my personal belief,
sure.
actually.
Sure. I agree. I mean, I agree because I mean, I think you can have, I think you can have it all, but I think you can look good and feel good and all those things, but I think it starts inside and then
Mhm.
works its way out as opposed to starting outside and trying to force it in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes.
I think inside, getting your health together, getting your mind right, getting all these things together first, then it will show itself on, on your body. So,
Yes. Just automatically, people can
mm,
see that. People around you, your family, your friends can feel that.
yeah,
And maybe you can fake it on, social media,
sure.
but um, people that are near you can, pick up that kind of this
Right.
glow, the energy and,
Hmm.
how when they're around you, So
Hmm. They can
that's,
tell. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I know we went off on a tangent. You were talking about how you got into bodybuilding and that comment that kind of perpetuated you towards that. But at some point, you decided you were gonna step on stage, right? I mean, because you competed in NPC, and so
Mhm.
how did you get from? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. At what point did you decide, okay, I'm gonna take this fitness thing that I'm doing and actually step on stage and compete? Because I mean, I know you're a coach, or you're a trainer as well, but and a coach, but when did you decide that you're going to actually compete on stage?
Um, I think it was a couple of years ago when we moved to Texas for work,
Hmm.
and somehow, I don't know, some, urgency that I felt like I want to get on stage and, and I think that's just like that. I don't know how to put it in words really. It's just like I want to do it,
Did
like yeah.
did you know about competing, like the like how what made you like, did you see somebody compete and you were like, oh, I want to do that? Or how did you know there's even such a thing as stepping on stage? Like,
Um, well, I saw one of my acquaintances that that
mm-hmm,
I um have connection with in the past.
mm-hmm,
She did that and I thought that was pretty cool, but I never really thought like I want to do it too.
uh-huh.
But no, I don't know. I was just like maybe every girl, correct me if I'm wrong, but most girls they that I know they would like to do that. It's like it has always been like, on their okay, I
Mhm.
want to do this like before I hit my, I hit 40, like it's on
Yeah.
my, bucket list or
Bucket
whatever.
list, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe I was one of these girls, I don't
Mhm.
know, but all I knew that I didn't come from overweight background. It means like a lot of girls they wanted to to lose some weight and then look good in
Mhm.
bikinis. While me, I came from the other end. I
Mhm.
wanted to put on more muscle and, to prove to that girl, no, just joking. I was talking about my, my
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember.
No, I just want to like, I saw some people did that and know what it takes to get up there.
Hmm.
I did think that it was pretty cool, but you know, yeah, I felt like, oh, it's it's maybe I should do that. It's
Hmm.
and see if I like it. And
How
that
was
was like, uh-huh.
I was gonna
Go on.
say, how was your experience doing it? With
I was competing with NPC a couple of years ago, and I was already certified in personal training, so but I wasn't certified in nutrition. I felt like I wasn't fully equipped with all this other knowledge,
Hmm.
stuff
Hmm.
like, like women's health, hormones, and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I felt like, well, I placed third. It
Hmm.
wasn't too bad, like
Yeah,
consider
it's
my
very good.
workforce. Yeah. Like it
Very
was
good.
in true office, what do you call it, class.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, But after that, after the show, there was a little bit of slight adverse events, reactions, whatever you
Hmm.
call it. It was just like my body was unhappy. And now, each time I look back, like I thought to myself, dang, like I look like I came in too lean.
Hmm.
So, and I wasn't really good with in terms of like rest and just recover and, that kind of knowledge. And all I knew was just train, 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 and then lose weight. And as I go in as lean as possible,
Right.
So that's all I knew. And that's all I knew. Like, and then I had that adverse reaction post show. And that is really a lesson for me.
And,
And it was not a good, there was no good reverse plan in place either.
hmm. Hmm.
So it was like I was navigating that all by myself while educating myself. It was like, yeah, never again. So,
Yeah, never again.
and yeah, it was very different between the second show where I won my pro card and
Mhm.
that very first show. My body was a lot happy when I was doing my second show. It was like all breeze, no symptoms, nothing, fantastic sleep. I even had like some, cheats
Mhm.
every now and then. And
What did you
yeah.
do? What did you do different? I mean, I know you just mentioned some things like sleep and but did you come in like fuller? Did you because I know you said initially the first show you were too lean. Is that
Oh,
yeah.
it was hard to watch. I was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
too. But the second time was not that I was, a lot bigger or anything, but it
Hmm.
was just like, I felt like, oh, like working with a couple of coaches
Hmm.
and then, learning from them, combining what I learned from them with what I know, and, as well as just like really enjoying the time. And I had longer prep time as well.
Okay.
And um and there was no like, oh, like there was no like massive deficit. I didn't do that. It was just like
Mhm.
very, like
Smooth.
very golden. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
So,
slightly. Yeah, it was very easy, very pleasant. So
mhm.
I'm grateful for that.
So this was in Hawaii.
Yes.
Is that the show? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was with a
Yeah.
different federation. It was with OCB.
Yeah, yeah, I'm actually looking, and I'll put all these up when the video, when this episode comes out. But I was looking at some of the pictures from there. Um, yeah, I mean, you look good. I mean,
Oh,
there
thank you.
is definitely worth the pro card for sure. And this
Oh,
is a
thank
natural show, right?
Yes, strictly natural. OCB is really strict when it comes to that.
Got it. So when you competed in NPC, and I know it was a novice show, so you might have not encountered this. Did you
Mhm.
feel like any that you were competing against non-natural athletes? The reason I say you might not because it's just you were so new, and probably everybody you're competing with was new. But what?
I,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah. You know, um, us bikini girls always like put at the very end of the show, right? And then
Hmm.
so there was a lot of time of us that's sitting around in the back and then
Right.
waiting for our time to go on stage. And
Hmm.
while doing that, I was looking around, like I'm thinking to myself, like, whoa, like look at all these, like
Hmm.
people, there's lean, big,
Hmm.
like years, hesitate to get to that level. And but deep down, I felt like I didn't know it would like it is not. it is not a tested organization. I didn't know
Sure,
that.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like brand new, and but
Right.
yeah, I did think there should be a way. Like some of them like just look. Don't get me wrong, they look incredible, but you can just tell like when it's something a little unnatural. It's just there for you, It's
Right.
like noticeable,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So you probably so you thought that, obviously you don't know for a fact, but you thought that maybe it was there were some enhanced athletes there.
Yes, actually, another thing that and I noticed is here is that some of these girls, I'm sorry,
That's
this they speak like, it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
smoker, so
That's
that
yeah, that's a telltale sign that something is going
yeah,
on. Yeah,
I
for
wasn't
sure.
sure. I wasn't sure about that back then, but I noticed that like with these people, and
Yeah,
so then after that, I did a little research and like, oh, like all this realization, the voice
sure.
changing, everything. I see, I see.
Sure. Yeah. Prolonged use and higher
Yeah,
dosages. Yeah, that will cause that to happen for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I was just curious because how you felt being new, being natural in NPC. I don't think I've had athletes on that just wouldn't discuss the enhanced portion of it, which I understand, and I wouldn't push them.
Mhm.
But then I've had athletes on that completely are open about discussing it. So, and I was curious on how you felt like coming in new and not knowing, like how were you surprised to see like who was around you? But it sounds like you were like you knew that something was
Kind of, yeah. I
going
kind of
on.
already
Yeah.
like, yeah, noticed that. I figured like, oh, there must be something,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I couldn't really pinpoint what it was back
Sure.
then.
Sure. Sure. I um I was wondering, are you planning to compete? I know you have your pro card. Are you
Mhm.
planning to compete more in the future? Hmm.
Yes, so I am, and I'm planning on staying with the current federation.
OCB.
Yeah, to see how far I can,
Hmm.
push myself. And I just got my pro card, so why not
Yeah.
using? Yeah, so
So
and
do you have a show in mind? Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
yes, I do a couple of different shows actually. I'm planning on doing one if things are, running smoothly.
Hmm.
One in, I think it should be in Colorado,
Okay.
mid-August, and then the bigger one, the Yorton Cup. If my body is competitive enough, then.
Right. Okay. Okay. When do you usually start prep like for a show? Like let's say this one that you won the pro card. You said it was longer. How long are we talking?
Well, longer preps have been, you know, really great for my body. I would say a little over 20 weeks.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You
that
feel
would
like
be ideal.
you feel like that's a sweet spot for you, like a little over 20
Yes,
weeks. Hmm.
yes. Yeah, because I don't have a lot to lose, right?
Right.
But at the same time, you don't want to like do a drastic change to your body. And so, um, and I would probably, not probably, actually, I have to, if I do that show in Colorado, I have to travel. And so, that means I have to, to have plan in place on how to
Right.
like troubleshoot. Like when you fly, sometimes, your body has, kind of like water retention from flying and that kind of thing. And so um, I have to be ready for that and
Hmm.
um, plan in place.
Is it possible to drive or no? You can't, you don't want to.
Drive, I'm not sure actually. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's possible.
Possible. Yeah.
But
Sometimes
I'm
I
sorry.
know. Oh, I was gonna say sometimes if it's too far, it's like you don't want to drive, but the driving will solve your water issues because you won't have to worry about that as
Mhm.
much. I mean, you'll be sitting, so you could, it's potential water retention there from sitting, but but it's not, at least you're not in the air. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm excited for you. I hope you do very, very well.
Thank you so much, Armin. I
Yeah, of
appreciate.
course. Of course. So I did want to touch on your coaching, you being a certified trainer. Do
Mhm.
you work mainly with lifestyle clients, or do you have clients that compete on stage as well?
No, lifestyle. Yeah,
Lifestyle.
I don't think I'm well equipped for that yet
Hmm. Hmm.
for prepping,
What,
for prepping prep.
what do you enjoy most about dealing with clients that are lifestyle clients?
That I learned a lot from them actually. Like, sometimes they say things like, I have to like research, like, oh, okay, well, these things exist, huh? It's like,
Hmm.
oh, that type, like that. I never thought about it. It's like one of these things that I learned the most from them is that they're so poor in time, these people,
Hmm.
and they just want to get, like told like, okay, like I don't want to do all the thinking, like just, give me a list of whatever food,
Right.
uh, supplements that, so that kind of thing. Then, oh, another thing is, I learned a lot about people's, I guess, bodies, their range of motions, like how, like some of them are really struggling with, executing one movement, and they would come to me and say, hey, this is very challenging. Do you have any other, exercise I can do? Because I
Right.
feel, this hurts me, blah, blah, blah. Like, to me, it's like, that is, that is really, um, that is really helpful for me to like, oh, okay, yeah, people, I cannot um assume that all people can do this, like most like general populations, they're struggling with certain movements or, exercises. Like to me, it's like, okay, yeah, I can do this easy, but
Hmm.
what I find easy is not easy for them. So these kind of things like really is
Yeah.
um eye-opening to me.
Yeah, I actually like ran into some of that myself.
Yeah,
I think because we're kind of around people that understand fitness, that are training regularly, that trained for years, we find certain things to be just regular, normal. And
yeah,
like, this is how you work out. Oh, how do you not know how to, do this workout? How do you not know how, like, it seems so simple to us, but yeah, but I think you're right. It's like we don't understand that for majority of the population, they have no idea how to work
yeah,
out.
yeah,
It's they're completely clueless. And so that's where people like you come in. You can show them how to do the exercises right.
yeah,
If this hurts, then there's another exercise that can hit the same muscle, the same way. So it's yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but you have to kind of think, sorry, you have to kind of think not from your viewpoint, but from the
mhm,
viewpoint of the other individual. Yeah,
yes, yes. So,
agreed. Yeah, agreed. That's really cool that you get to help people like that. Is that is coaching athletes one of your future goals? Like, do you want to coach competitors in the future, or do you want to stick with lifestyle?
uh, for now,
Mhm.
I think I'll stick to lifestyle until I feel like, okay, yeah, I got the education done,
Mhm.
I have the knowledge, I have some experience, then maybe in the future, I feel like, yeah, I don't, I mean, I'm not a type of person who feel like, oh yeah, I can do this,
Mhm.
like the opposite, actually, I'm suffering from something called, it's like imposter syndrome, you know, it's like sometimes you got all the tools, right? You
Mhm.
learned this, you got certified, you know, you've done this many times and and people, a lot of like families and friends say like you can totally get it, like you can
Mhm.
totally do it. But there's always a little voice in me that says like, oh, what if I do this incorrectly? And
Mhm.
what I know is not enough? Or,
Mhm.
this little voice is that kind of syndrome. So
Yeah.
I'm working on it. But yeah, like I would say like I'm like the opposite spectrum of um like hyper confident, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right, right.
yeah.
I get
So
it. It's funny how and I totally get what you're saying. It's funny how sometimes you'll have people that have all the training, experience,
yeah.
they know what to do, and then but they're I don't know if shy is the right word, but they're almost too humble for their own good. And then you have other people like online or Instagram who just started working out and they're putting out videos on how to work out. And I'm like, I'm looking at some of these people, I'm like, you have zero experience, and what you're saying is not exactly true, but they say it with such confidence
Yeah.
that they will have people believe them, even though
Yeah.
it's not necessarily correct, you know?
No, it's because they're loud enough.
Yes. So and that's I think that's such a shame that the people that are loud get all the
And
attention. Um but I feel like that also hurts like the population because the people that listen to them aren't going to get the benefits, you know. And so
yeah.
it's unfortunate. It's part of social media, I guess. What do you think about social media as far as fitness is concerned? I mean, you have a page yourself. I do. As many other people that are very popular on there. Do you think it's a good thing, a bad thing, or something in between?
Uh, where do I start? I have a lot to say about this. Let me put it this way. It all boils down to, the consumers, the general population. I
Hmm.
feel like they need to be um, educated, not not to the level where they're become an expert, but
Hmm.
enough for them to make a informed decision or to kind of spot like, okay, yeah, this is not correct, or this is gimmick, or this person looks legit, like to have that kind of little just basic knowledge,
Hmm.
I'm not talking about expertise kind of level of
Right.
knowledge. I think it's really up to them. And it should be on them
Hmm.
because social media is, as I said, it's like, and also, one of these things that I noticed about, being out here in the US, it's like, as I said a couple of minutes ago, it's like, it's as long as you're loud and you look convincing and,
Hmm.
and people will buy into what you say. It's like, and a lot of these like, athletes, they like, don't get me wrong, they look fantastic, but are they educated in the field? Are they in the position to give, advice? Are
Hmm.
they staying in their lane? Like this is important because um like it's just if you're not in your lane and you do you say something that's like, oh, hey, it's not your position to say that, or advice or giving advice or opinion, like it's just not a good look on you.
Hmm.
And it has a lot to do with your credibility too. So
Right.
like to me, I feel like these people should just this some people, not all, like some people should just like, I don't know, like being more credible,
Hmm.
humble, humility is gold.
Hmm.
And know what you know and know that you don't know everything, and
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, I back to what you said is it's a social media thing these days, and unfortunately, it is what it is. And
Hmm.
um, like
Yeah.
I've seen people that are like, oh, like this guy is very knowledgeable, but he doesn't have, a very strong online presence, like has,
Yes.
small followings, it's
Right.
like,
Right.
look at what he's done. Look at, his education and this. And so, but a lot of people like that, and man, a lot of people like that, like they have small followings. They're not so popular. They're like, but
Right.
they got what it takes, in terms of like educating others and getting them to where they're at right
Right.
now, and
Yeah.
so. Yeah. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's just the state of the world. But I like your point where at some point, you're not going to be able to change. You're not going to be able to change what's going on in the grand scheme of things with social media and everything. But it's up to the individual to to do their own research and understand,
Yes.
like who to listen to and who not to listen to. And
Yeah.
I understand people can be fooled. I understand that can happen, but it's still your responsibility to do your best in trying to figure out who to listen to. So
Yeah.
yeah, agreed, agreed. Well, I appreciate Cheria for you to come on the show. I think we had a really good time. If somebody wanted to hire you as a coach or trainer, or they wanted you on more podcasts or anything else, excuse me, what would be the best way for them to reach you?
I have Instagram account.
Okay, that what we were just talking about. Yeah,
Yeah. And from there you can, see my website and
awesome.
yeah, my Facebook page, which is, I just started off, so it's pretty small still.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Okay. And guys, I'll link her page at the bottom of this video, so it'll be easier for you to reach.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I had a great time.
Well, thank you so much, Armin. I
Uh,
really appreciate
Okay. Take care. Bye bye.
it. Bye.